Previously on lonelygirl15.
Hi guys, so this is my first video blog. I've been watching for a while and I really like a lot of you guys on here. A lot of you have been asking me who Daniel is. What did my dad ask you? Yes, he did ask you something.
No, not really.
Something, tell me. Why?
He didn't really ask anything. It sucks. It's so weird. I haven't really been to too many summer camps, but I'm guessing sports summer camps, you learn about sports. This one, they learn about their religion. 2 seconds ago, you wanted me to talk to you.
It's something that I believe in, and why is it such a big deal to you?
Whatever.
This is my religion.
Okay.
It's my beliefs. There's a million fucking different religions in the world.
I don't really know what Bree's religion is. I know it's basically a cult.
I've been chosen to participate in a ceremony. The ceremony is a really big deal in my religion. They only have them once in a really long while, and it's very, very difficult to attend. My parents won't even be allowed to come. Daniel, if you're watching this, please stop. I'm afraid that if you keep this stuff up, something bad is gonna happen. I don't know why they took pictures of him. Daniel, I swear I don't know. That really freaks me out.
I made it home. Obviously, they have pictures of me. I mean, what the hell? They've been following me.
Bree, I don't think you're taking this seriously enough. It doesn't matter if you've made the decision not to be in the ceremony. It's not your decision to make.
I've been calling my parents all day. They don't pick up, and they haven't called me back.
So, after we saw the car leave with her parents, we went inside. We went upstairs to her room, and her parents had hidden a note inside Purple Monkey. They had left her some money in there, too. Bree's still very upset. She starts crying every couple hours. The note said that she should stay with me. We didn't feel it was going to be safe at my house, so we've been driving around more.
And now on lonelygirl15. We pick up with Gemma uploading a new video in which she shows her support for Bree and Daniel's recent flight.
I was worried about you, and so was everyone else. I thought I'd see what I could do from here. For starters, I can tell you everything I know. It is not Thalema, as many have suspected.
Did you catch that? She said Thalema. Now, for the more historically astute out there, they will recognize Thalema as the esoteric and occult philosophy founded by none other than the infamous Aleister Crowley himself. This is now the second reference we've been given about Crowley, coming off the heels of Daniel's earlier research into Dendera and the temple dedicated to the worship of the Egyptian deity Hathor. It is also interesting to note that Crowley considered himself a later disciple of the teachings of John Dee and Edward Kelly, the men who transcribed the Enochian alphabet. Further into her video, Gemma confirms that her and Bree's religious organization indeed refer to themselves as the Order, and that they are not a religion per se, but a secret global cabal of very dangerous occultists. When we next catch up with Bree and Daniel, the viewers learn that they have spent the last few days living in a motel and their resources are rapidly dwindling. Despite their predicament, Bree refuses to go to the police. She relates that during her time deep within the inner workings of the Order, she knew several high prominent members that were in positions of power on the outside, including high-ranking law enforcement, and that the Order is indeed everywhere. Next, we see Gemma just reinforcing Bree's choice not to go to the authorities, as many of them cannot be trusted.
Glad you went with your instincts on this, Bree. You were right not to trust the authorities. They may not be who they seem. Bree, I noticed something in your last video. I can't say for sure, but I suspect you and Daniel are being followed. I saw someone in your last video. He looks very similar to the man standing by the cars in the ceremony video. Maybe it's me, it's probably just a coincidence, but I thought maybe you'd want to know. I've got a lot of schoolwork to do, so I'm going to have to go. For some reason, my teacher thought it would be funny to write 5,000 words on the miller's tale by tomorrow.
Bree responds to Gemma's concern about her and Daniel being followed, but assures her and the audience that both of them did a thorough search around the motel and didn't notice anyone. But just to be safe, they will take extra precautions. We are now introduced to the character of Jonas. Jonas will become a major player in the world of lonelygirl15 and indeed be one of the longest lasting characters in this complex universe. Here is his introduction. He makes one of many response videos detailing a little about who he is. He explains that he too has been following Bree's odyssey and offers his condolences on the pair's current situation. In the video, he relates that some of his interests include skating, max headroom, hanging out with his friends, and being, quote, anti-establishment.
After almost a week of living on the road, I've got motel dining down to a science.
Here we find Daniel trying to alleviate the burden of living on the road. He prepares breakfast for Bree, and we see some genuine moments between the two, affirming to us and each other that their unique bond is growing stronger by the day. Gemma comes back with an ominous video response entitled A Watcher. She indicates that while viewing some of the duo's previous videos, she spots a man with a weird smudge on his hand. She enhances the image and notices that it is indeed a symbol of some kind. Delving more into her research, she uncovers that the symbol denotes a special class of infiltrators, observers, and enforcers within the order. They are called, uncreatively enough, the Watchers. Becoming increasingly paranoid, Bree and Daniel flee their motel after they spot what they fear might be a watcher outside their room.
It's just in life on the run. Boring. Back in the community, we use the saying op-aphid. It's an acronym to guide our interactions with strangers.
Having found another motel, Bree explains that while growing up in the cult, its members exercised a particular protocol when dealing with outsiders. Something known as op-aphid, an acronym we will hear more later on. Daniel then uploads a video detailing his frustration with Bree, and we learn a little bit more about his previous home life.
I'm not talking to Bree right now. She thinks this is some sort of game.
No, I don't. And might I add, the survival skills thing was Owen's idea.
You see what I mean? My parents don't really care where I am. They're not exactly the hands-on type. I've called my mom every few days. She thinks I'm camping or whatever. Anyways, this sucks. I don't know who's following us or even if we're being followed. I was taking classes at a JC. I wanted to study film. It's just frustrating.
Hi Bree, I remember op-aphid. It's something I remember when I was in the South African community. It's an acronym, right? When we met people who didn't understand us, we would acknowledge their position and help initiate a dialogue.
Heed this warning. That's right. Our allies must push matters over fixing to be able to defend themselves. Our enemy shall be concealed from me. We do not allow you, but heed this warning. Do not believe that possibly you can escape the rewards of your actions. And as such, you shall face my wrath.
So here we learn the meaning behind op-aphid from Gemma, which will become important further down the road. We will find that op-aphid isn't just a simple acronym, but goes much deeper into the overarching plan of the Order. Jonas comes back with a more personal video in which he reveals more about his heartbreaking past.
Hi, Bree. Happy Thanksgiving? I don't know. I don't really know what to say. I feel bad, that you don't know where your parents are, and you're not going to be with them for the holiday. See, the thing is that I spend almost every holiday alone too, and I don't know where my parents are either. Some people who watch my videos are wondering, why I live in this big old house all alone. Well, the reason is that 6 years ago, my parents, they disappeared. They were lost at sea. That's right, I'm an orphan. More Bruce Wayne than Oliver, though. I hope. So I saw your video on longitude, and I don't know, it made me want to share this with you. See, my mom and dad, they were sailing around the 140th longitude when they disappeared. Before the big trip, my mom, she was freaking out. She wanted my dad to buy this sat nav for the boat. I think he was a little bit insulted because, he's been sailing his whole life. So, anyway, a Humboldt County ranger station picked up a distress call from them, but they couldn't make it out. The Coast Guard, they sent out a helicopter, but it was a shot in the dark. It was 100-mile range and 40-foot seas. They never found the boat or the wreckage or anything. Just gone. Wow. I can't believe I just told that to a complete stranger. Many complete strangers. I kind of know what you're going through, so if you ever want to talk or whatever, I'm here. Oh, and another thing, here, come here. Listen. Give Daniel a break, alright? Life it's too short for this. I think that he seems like a pretty good guy, and he's been by your side through kind of a lot, so cut him a break. Besides, I think that he really does have your best interests in mind. Well, I guess that's it. Have a good Thanksgiving.
In her next video, Bree thanks Jonas for his advice and decides to treat Daniel to a Thanksgiving Day picnic. The two share a relaxed day, but Bree becomes sullen towards the end, regretting the fact that she's not spending the holiday with her family because of her current dire circumstances. Returning to their motel after their picnic, Daniel and Bree find that the room has been ransacked. In a panic, they once again hit the road. A short time later, another argument erupts in the car and Daniel expresses his desire to turn back and report their ordeal to the police. But as usual, Bree refuses. When we next hear from Gemma, we learn of a potentially disturbing development that she's been recently dealing with.
Hi, so I wasn't sure I was going to do this video blog, and I'm a little scared to go back to my flat at the minute. Okay, Saturday night, me and my flatmates went to see this play called Two Graves, and it's a story about murder and retribution, and for some reason I just had this eerie feeling that I was being followed. At first I just ignored it, and I assumed I was tense because of the subject matter of the play. But then I went to the pub to grab some dinner, and during my entire meal I was convinced that I was being watched. Before they brought over the bill, I had to go to the toilet, and that's when I saw him. In the corner booth, there was this man in a black suit with dark sunglasses. I didn't see his hand, but I could have sworn he was a watcher. I was too afraid to go home, so the last couple of days I spent with my friends. I'm not sure what to do. I don't know why they would be following me.
Jonas then makes a video detailing just how desperate Bree is starting to sound. He tells us that during a live chat, the teenage girl expressed that both her and Daniel were near their breaking point. They were out of money and had no roof over their heads. Now, wanting to help, Jonas offers for the pair to crash at his place for as long as they need while in the chat. Bree seemed extremely reluctant, and Jonas senses that with everything she's been through, she is hard-pressed to trust anyone. Jonas states that he understands, but if the two ever do need his help, he will be willing and waiting.
We're still living out of my car. Who is this Jonas guy? I don't trust him. I think that whole story about his parents dying in a sailing accident, they're probably in St. Thomas or something. Bree totally wants us to go to his house. She doesn't even know this guy. I gave up school. I gave up my job at Gas Needs. It was a job. If I left right now, I could probably make it back in time to register for winter quarter classes. I could get some gen eds out of the way and maybe transfer to USC in the spring. Whatever. I'm gonna let her go. Serious. Done. I bet if I left right now, they'd stop chasing me. They just want Bree. Why would I stick around if she doesn't want to trust me? If she doesn't want to listen to me? Why? I swear to God, that little rat is attached to her. It's like a cancer. She used to be smart. She used to listen to reason. Now she'd rather talk to a puppet instead of her best friend. What does she think's gonna happen if they find us? I just want to go home. How can I help her if she won't listen to me?
In the following upload, we find Gemma back in her apartment. She states that after thinking about it, she may have overreacted to suspecting that a watcher was following her, and that perhaps she may have been silly about the whole situation. In relating to Daniel and Bree, Gemma sides with Daniel regarding Jonas. Much like Daniel, she is suspicious of Jonas and thinks the story about his parents sounds shady at best. Gemma's advice at this point is that she thinks it's best for Bree and Daniel to just go home. She postulates that life on the run is really no life at all. In this point in the series, fans are quick to point out the apparent shifting nature of Gemma's motivations. First, she seems to side and support with Bree, telling her that the authorities can't be trusted. But now she is walking her statements back and telling the pair that they should return home and in essence just take their chances. Now we have to ask, whose side is Gemma really on? Furthermore, the audience doesn't seem to be the only ones asking this question. Remember Op-Aphid? Well, take a look.
Oh dear.
It is speculated by fans that the ending voice in the video may be Gemma issuing some kind of a warning and that she is associated with Op-Aphid, whoever this entity really is. In the video, we see a room that is clearly Bree's in juxtaposition to another room. Both places are obviously under surveillance, but why? Does Gemma's sudden reversal in her support mean that she wants Bree to return to make it easier for the Watchers to retrieve her? Whose second room is this? Was this a setup from the beginning, perhaps somehow orchestrated by Gemma herself? Taking a closer look at Op-Aphid's actual YouTube channel, we see other glaring anomalies that beg the question of just who this person or thing is. In parallel to lonelygirl15, we see Op-Aphid upload several odd videos that are both cryptic and thought-provoking. Interestingly enough, many of them are not about Bree at all, but someone named Cassie.
I have taken God's name in vain.
Whatever happened to that girl, Cassie?
Who?
That girl, she was in your class. You know.
Who is this girl?
In your class.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's molested. Sir, that will be necessary.
On October 8, 2006, Op-Aphid uploads a video entitled "Everyone Hates Cassie." But hold on a second, because we've heard that name before, haven't we? That's right. Earlier in the year, Bree uploads a video titled "Swimming," where she grills Daniel about a girl he used to know named Cassie. But Daniel claims no knowledge of her. But the video seems to answer all of this for us. At the ending portion of the upload, we hear a part of Daniel and Bree's conversation concerning Cassie. It seems almost blatantly clear that this Op-Aphid is the mysterious girl. She even directly compares herself to Bree in the video's title, citing a poor, lonely girl. Is this the Order trying to warn Bree that she is about to suffer the same fate as Cassie? And what does Gemma have to do with all of this? Back with our main characters, Daniel and Bree decide to ditch Daniel's car by the side of the road and continue their flight on foot. Daniel says that he had been receiving mysterious messages from someone calling themselves Tachyon. Now, Tachyon claimed that the reason the Watchers had been able to keep up with Bree and Daniel so easily is that Daniel's car had been outfitted with a tracking device. While wandering around, the two get into yet another spat. Bree arguing that due to their current situation, they should take Jonas up on his offer. Daniel coming back with the counterpoint that they should just go home. Later on, and due to Bree's fierce stubbornness, Daniel decides to stay with her and continue their quest. After spending a few nights on the streets, they decide to hole up in an abandoned warehouse. With no food, money, or sufficient contacts, their situation does seem bleak. Jonas responds to Bree's last video with a tour of his house. He reasons that this might alleviate their concerns about trusting him and get them to come off the streets and live with him. He also adds a little tidbit at the end telling us that after his parents' accident, he was raised by his nanny, and that after a time, he inherited his parents' sizable estate. Gemma responds to Bree's homeless video in which she berates the two for not taking her advice.
Bree, Daniel, what happened? I don't know how you ended up living on the streets. I told you to go home. Look, I don't know what else I could do. I feel like I've given you all the advice and information that I have, and you're not listening. And this Jonas character, I don't trust him. Bree, you and Daniel are in a desperate situation. The only people you should trust are each other. Once you get home, you can start looking for your parents. That note they gave you, maybe there's some more information there. If you find anything, just let me know. Maybe I can help.
Look, Gemma, I appreciate your advice, and I actually agree with you, but Bree isn't budging. I'm sick of fighting, so I decided to give Jonas a chance. Jonas, it's hard for me to admit this, but we need help. I mean, it's pretty obvious we're not doing a great job taking care of ourselves. Bree thinks we should trust you, just because. Anyways, I liked what you said about a test. I think it's a good idea. I mean, you have to prove yourself to us before we'll trust you. You got a big house and money, but how do we know you're not part of the Order? So, who do we trust? Gemma? I don't really know you either. You live across the world.
We gave him the test and he passed. Let's just go.
So what, we go to his house?
Yes, Daniel, that's the idea.
Bree, we don't even know this guy.
So what if people trust him?
Daniel, we are
I can
homeless.
fix that.
How? Daniel, how?
Look, I'm not going.
What?
I don't care about a stupid test. I don't care about a stupid house of money. I'm going home.
Daniel, you can't go home. You can't just leave me.
So I met Bree in an alley, and Daniel wasn't with her. She gave me a tape, asked me to edit it and upload it, but she hasn't left her room since she got here. And after looking at the footage, I'm not really surprised. I made her my famous chocolate sundae with shaved almonds, and she didn't even touch it. So Daniel, man, if you're watching this, she really misses you, man, and I really, really hope that you reconsider and just come here. Alright, man, well, that's it for now. Take care.
After leaving Bree with Jonas, Daniel is back home with his parents. He tells us that they hardly noticed his absence. He details his journey back as he hops several trains after getting the lowdown on how to do so by a few hitchhikers. Now, according to him, he is just glad to be back and eager to go on with a normal life. He plans to get his job back and enroll in the next semester of college. He looks into the camera and thanks Jonas for taking care of Bree and tells her how much he still does care for her. A short time later, our questions about Gemma and her allegiance are indeed answered. The mysterious Tachyon uploads a series of videos on her own channel, and through all these, it is revealed that she had been keeping tabs on Gemma this entire time and that the Brit girl was indeed in the US all along. While looking after the situation, Tachyon records several of her phone calls, and the girl is heard referencing Op Aphid and that the two were closely linked. She is also seen in the company of Lucy, Bree's former counselor, and through all this, it is inferred that Gemma had been lying. She had been a watcher employed by the Order. Now, why was Tachyon doing all this, you might ask? Well, Tachyon also reveals through various posts that she had been part of the family that disappeared as referenced by Gemma in her video They Disappeared, which was an attempt by Gemma to both mock Tachyon and threaten Bree. Tachyon escaped the clutches of the Order and had dedicated her life to fighting them. Once Bree began her uploads, Tachyon knew she had to get involved, albeit from the shadows. From here on in, she will act as an off-camera guide to Bree, Daniel, and Jonas. It seems that they finally have a trustworthy ally. Jonas then gives a progress report on both himself and Bree. He explains that Bree is indeed in a bad state. She almost refuses to eat and won't come out of her room. She is distraught over Daniel's decision to leave her behind and the awful revelation that Gemma had betrayed her, as relayed by Tachyon. Daniel responds to Jonas's video expressing his shock about Gemma and what his plans are going forward.
Okay, I just saw Jonas's last video. Gemma was somebody that we trusted. I can't believe she would be a plant or whatever she is. We took so much of her advice over the past few months. Now we don't even know who she is. I guess she works for the Order or something. But I have no idea what she wanted. I don't know what to think. I came home because of her advice. These people are everywhere. Bree, I can't imagine how you must feel. I'm so sorry I left. I feel so powerless from here. I was thinking about what I can do from here. I don't know. The only thing I came up with was going back to your house. I know last time we were there, we left in such a hurry. I don't know, maybe we missed something. Anyway, Bree, sit tight. Don't do anything till I get in contact with you. I'm gonna figure this out.
Bree finally decides to break her isolation and face the world. She explains that after Gemma's betrayal, her resolve to find her parents became even stronger. She expresses that Daniel's apology meant a lot to her and that she wishes he would come back to help her, since the two of them make a pretty good team. In her reasoning, she says that it's naive for Daniel to want to go back to his old life, since he's part of something much larger now. He can't just assume that the Order will just leave him alone just because he decided to distance himself from her. Daniel follows through on his plans to return to Bree's house to check things out. While searching the house, he stumbles onto something he thinks might be important, but doesn't tell the audience what it is. He signs off without giving us any more info. Bree uploads a video telling us that she plans to try and get in contact with some of her parents' old friends to try and glean any information she can about the whereabouts of the order and where they might be holding her parents. She also tells a childhood story about making a prank phone call with her friend named, interestingly enough, Cassie.
On a more serious note, I spent the last few days doing some research, trying to track down a few of my parents' old friends and some relatives. My family is actually scattered all over the globe, so there are quite a few relatives that I haven't even met. For the purpose of today's phone calls, we're going to be using good old-fashioned caller ID blocking for a safety precaution. I learned my lesson about that once before. A while back, I got into trouble making them with my friend Cassie.
I have been unduly proud and acted with arrogance.
Looking back, I'm not even sure what was so funny about it. It's like she would call people and just try and freak them out by either whispering, "I'm watching." It was kind of creepy.
Whatever happened to that girl, Cassie?
Who is this girl?
She was in your class.
What'd she look like?
I don't remember.
When we next hear from Daniel, he tells us what he found at Bree's and also adds that he discovered something alarming inside his very own home.
Hey everyone. So, I kind of freaked out the other day. I kept on having interference on my cell phone every time I go in my bedroom. I found a hidden camera. I didn't know what to do, so I just left. I don't even know why I came back anyways. It's not like my parents cared. The last Tachyon drop said not to follow a smart move up with a stupid one. I think that's even giving me too much credit. I followed a stupid move up with a stupider one. Stupider. That's definitely where Bree would have corrected me on. Anyway, I'm definitely not going to tell anyone where I am. That's just the way it's going to be. I guess you could say I'm at an undisclosed location, and it's going to stay that way. This is what I found at Bree's house. I don't know what the symbol means, but there was a shipping receipt inside. So I looked up the name of the company. There isn't much, but they have a few warehouses in the area, so I think I'm going to go check those out. Oh, one more thing. Where we put the camera in my room, you have nothing.
With everything happening, Jonas decides to try and take Bree's mind off things by teaching her how to skateboard, to which he has limited success. Later, Bree addresses what Daniel found in her parents' house. She speculates that the odd symbol might be affiliated with her father's company, but admits she doesn't know too much about what he did, since he had always been quite secretive. Daniel's next upload sees him tracking down the company listed on the shipping receipt box containing the odd symbol. After searching around, he finds one of their warehouses relatively close by. He sneaks in and discovers several crates containing boxes with the identical symbol he found at Bree's house. Hurriedly, he opens one of the boxes, quickly retrieves whatever's inside, and flees the building. Later, he reveals what it was that he had retrieved. It was a box of something called epigen. Now, looking up epigen, we find it is a drug used to mainly treat anemia. It is mainly used on patients who suffer from renal failure on dialysis, but it mainly increases a user's red blood cells. Daniel speculates that it was this drug that was contained in Bree's injections, but the main question is, why? Bree's next upload details her trying to fight her boredom at Jonas's place and relays to her viewers an interesting detail about her father and her attempts to contact her parents' friends the previous day.
When I was little, my dad used to encourage me to read by buying me Nancy Drew novels. So ever since then, I've been obsessed with any movie, TV show, or book that involves detectives, spies, and secret codes. Anything where it all sort of fits together at the end. Missing that time with my dad made me put together a little detective spy, secret code, and mystery movie marathon out of Jonas's DVDs. I watched Citizen Kane, Usual Suspects, Sneakers, Out of Sight, Ocean's 11, and Never Say Never Again. It was fantastic. So, after watching all of these, I became obsessed with an elaborate theory that I concocted about the other day when I dialed a wrong number. As if somebody was trying to get in touch with me using code.
On Christmas Day, we find that Daniel has finally decided to come to Jonas's place. He arrives early in the morning, and Jonas arranges it as a surprise for Bree. Later that morning, Bree and Daniel are reunited, much to her relief. The day after Christmas, Jonas uploads a video in which he and Daniel inform the audience that Bree has gone missing.
I woke up this morning and went to check on Bree, and she was gone. Also missing was my car, my credit card, and I don't know, like a few $100s in cash.
Dude, where's Bree? Okay, so Jonas is checking the rest of the house. He thinks Bree robbed him or something. I don't know where she is. I'm just hoping she hasn't been taken.
Going over Bree's last videos, Daniel deciphers a complex code derived by Bree and her father. Turns out the odd number that Bree had dialed a few days before to reach one of her uncles had been nothing but an out-of-business dry cleaners. While listening to the voicemail, Daniel puts together a string of numbers and deduces the number of sequences had been left by none other than Bree's father as a coded message to his daughter to try and locate him. Using her history of detective novels read to her by her father, Bree was able to figure out the coded message and steals Jonas's car and money to try and rescue him. Daniel and Jonas rush out of the house to try and find her using her father's coded number message. On New Year's Eve, we find Daniel and Jonas staked out near a public storefront. A short time later, Bree appears with a man whom Daniel confirms is her father. The boys tail the pair after they jump into a car and drive off. They follow them to a parking garage and wait for something to happen. After a time, the two finally emerge from the car when another vehicle pulls up in front of Bree and her father. Sensing something isn't right, the boys hop out of their own car just as several shots ring out. Bree frantically runs towards her friends, surprised yet relieved that they are there. The trio manages to escape, but we learn that Bree's father had been shot. After going silent for about a week, Bree uploads a video in which she shows us how she's dealing with her grief. She also sheds some light on the last conversation that she had with her father.
I don't really know how to say this, so I guess I'll just say it the way it's been running through my head the past couple of days. My dad wasn't my real dad, and my mom wasn't my real mom. My dad told me this before he my dad told me a lot, actually. My mind hasn't been able to process it all. It's like you go through life with all of these questions, and eventually you don't even want to think about it because there are a million different answers. And after a while, you just get into this nice little state of mind where you just accept the fact that you don't know anything, and you have faith that you're making the right decisions. And then one day you find out the truth, and it's so overwhelming that you're forced to view your life from an entirely different perspective.
Afterwards, fans were quick to point out that Tachyon had posted what seemed to be a very telling video a few days before. In the video, Tachyon seems to indicate that herself as well as her co-operative, someone simply by the name of Brother, have killed Gemma by luring her out of her residence using the fire alarm. This she seems to offer Bree as some kind of a morbid consolation for her father being murdered by the Order. It also seems that this was more of a self-serving endeavor, as Tachyon has finally eliminated someone she saw as a lifelong enemy. After this, Tachyon seems to want to focus most of her attention on Op-Aphid. Jonas uploads a video recounting exactly what he recalls about the events of New Year's Eve.
I can't believe what happened. Daniel and I, we've been talking about it a lot in the past few days. He won't admit it. I know he's as shaken up by this as I am. It's really hard to make sense out of what happened in that brief 45-second span of time. I got bits and pieces of it. I remember this older dude, and he was kind of balding. He had gray hair on the side. I guess Bree said he was a deacon. And then I remember a blonde woman. There's something I have to get off my chest. My first impulse was to protect Bree. I was running after her, but then I hesitated. And thank God Daniel didn't. He grabbed her. It wasn't until I heard the gunshot that I snapped out of it, and I realized that we had to get out of there, fast. What's weird is that when the black sedan pulled up, I thought that maybe it was some kind of trap that Bree's dad had set or something. But Bree, she was right there in the open, and I don't remember them even trying to grab her. But when I turned around, I saw Bree's dad on the ground. The next thing I remember, we were just hauling ass trying to get out of that parking structure. But when I looked in the rear view, I saw them loading his body in the trunk. And they really didn't even seem concerned about us. I keep watching the raw footage over and over and over again, like the Zapruder film. But I can't get anything out of it more than I already remember. And I asked Beast, what he remembered, but he said he was so focused on making sure Bree was okay that he doesn't remember much. He said all he remembers is hair and high-pitched screaming. Those were his words. I'm just, I guess, confused, because I don't understand why they wouldn't grab her if they had the chance. Anyway, it's been really, really difficult for me to watch Bree going through all this. It's brought back a lot of memories. And the thing is, I have a lot of books and stuff and a lot of information on ways to help, and so I think I'm gonna try to put together a mental health exercise for her or something. All right. Peace.
Feeling helpless about the whole situation, Daniel tries in vain to cheer Bree up, but she reacts with extreme hostility. Feeling frustrated, Daniel questions why she refuses to talk with him and tells her that he indeed gave up everything to try and help her. Again, she lashes out and relates that she doesn't want nor need anyone's help. After days of trying to get Bree to open up, Daniel and Jonas decide they need some guy time and spend the day bonding over foosball and card games. During this time, Daniel chides Jonas over his apparent power over teenage girls and how he can obtain that same kind of energy. Jonas laughs and counters, wanting to know how the kiss between Daniel and Bree went back when he first took her to that party many months back. After expressing that she wishes both Daniel and Jonas, especially Daniel, would leave her to properly grieve, Bree gives up more info about her conversation with her father before he was killed.
If I had the option of not seeing my father killed in front of me, I'd have taken it. My dad, he told me a lot about the Order, and not a single thing was positive. My dad told me that the Order takes these girls who show potential at birth and place them in controlled homes. Apparently there are thousands of them, but once they hit puberty, only a fraction of a percentile develop the characteristics needed for the ceremony. My mom was higher up in the order. My dad told me that there are different levels, and people on the lower levels know very little. My dad is gone, and I don't want to have anything to do with my mom. The more it sinks in, the more I realize that I don't have anyone, and I'm completely alone.
Hey everyone, so I'm really excited right now. Bree's been really down lately. She's just been sitting in her room. When I went in, she was sitting on her bed, and she said she just wanted to talk, so I was like, alright, at least that's better than yesterday. We ended up just watching a movie, and we talked late into the night. We haven't talked like that in forever. With everything that's gone on, I almost thought that we were growing apart. After the movie was over, she started talking about, how much our lives have changed over the past few months. Pretty soon she started crying. I just put my arm around her and I told her everything was going to be okay. I didn't know what else to say to her. She calmed down. And we just sat like that for a little while. And then, all of a sudden, she just kissed me. It's not what you think. It's really just been something I think we've both wanted for a while. The intense thing was when she hugged me. It was like she was scared to let go. I think she was worried that I might pull away, I don't know, because she was so emotional. Like I'd be weirded out or something just because she said that she needed me. Anyway, in the morning I did the walk of shame back to my bedroom. So, I don't know what this means. I think I know what this means. Well, at least I hope I know what this means. Anyways, I just want to do something really nice for her today. I've already done the breakfast in bed thing, and so tonight I think I want to kind of have a nice little candlelight dinner. Oh, and I'm not going to let her on the computer, so she won't see this. I want to surprise her. It's going to be nice.
Op Aphid comes back with another ominous video in which they show that they had footage of Daniel checking his room and finding the hidden camera. The video seems to hint that they were unconcerned with him finding it, and more disturbingly, that they may have future plans for Daniel.
Well played. But then again, clearly things have not gone according to plan. Or have they? This is your enemy. Oh dear. We succeed only as we identify in life, or in war, or in anything else, a single overriding objective, and make all other considerations bend to that one objective.
Back at Jonas's, we see that an ever-complicated soap opera is developing between the three, as Jonas conveys he is clearly not happy about what Daniel seemed to clearly indicate in his hooking up video. He tells us that Daniel prepared some kind of romantic dinner for Bree, but that later on it didn't seem that things went to plan, as Daniel is downstairs by himself while Bree is once again locked away in her room. When Bree uploads next, she tells us that Daniel might have slightly embellished what exactly happened the night that he and her last talked.
Okay, so I haven't been on the computer for the past couple of days because Daniel wouldn't let me. Now I know why. I just watched his last video. What? What is he talking about? I guess I should have known better. Daniel just takes everything too far. There's no in-between for him. And on Monday night, he was acting all weird, and he made this big dinner and then cooked this small chicken thing. It was very un-Daniel, to say the least. There was low lighting and candlelight, and he would talk to me in this weird whisper voice. I guess that he thought it was romantic or something, but it was kind of strange. It all makes sense now that I've seen the video, but I think I need to clear some things up. First of all, I am not in love with Daniel. Admittedly, I never should have kissed him, and I don't know, I acted on impulse and it was definitely a mistake. I'm sorry, Daniel, but it was. And second of all, there is no second of all. I should have known that he would completely misinterpret this. It was a kiss, Daniel. It doesn't mean that we're together. And you know, as for this walk of shame that you called it, you slept on the floor. And the only thing shameful about it is the fact that you snore.
We next find Jonas outside a bowling alley waiting to pick up Daniel after he receives a random call that the latter had become belligerently drunk, apparently trying to get over his rejection by Bree. Getting Daniel back home, the rest of them decide to pass the night by playing a few rounds of poker. At the end of the night, they wind up playing a prank on Daniel.
Hello everyone. I am so hungover. I feel like hell. And as you can see, my ever-sensitive, caring friends decided to turn me into a little cartoony comic book character thing. This is war. As for last night, I don't remember much of it. I think Bree's probably pissed at me. I'm not really sure. I don't really care. She can do whatever she wants now. Just whatever. I do remember that I met this really hot girl, and somehow, by the gods, she came home with me. I wish I knew how I pulled that off. I wonder if she's still around here. Anyway, the girl's not here. That sucks. I'll tell you one thing though. It's good to realize that Bree isn't the only girl in town. I think I also lost my fake ID last night. For all I know, it's outside of Pins and Pites somewhere. I shaved, I showered, I ate, and I still kind of feel like crap. I'm gonna go to sleep. I'm tired. I'll see ya.
The next few uploads simply relay how the three are coping with their increasing isolation and paranoia. Bree telling the viewers how she worries about being cooped up with two unstable guys, and the boys trying to pass the time playing foosball tournaments. When Daniel finally decides he's had enough and dresses up for a night to go out on the town. The next morning, Bree takes to YouTube with concern in her voice, since it's revealed that Daniel never came home.
Look, I know things haven't been great over the past couple of weeks, but I still think that it's pretty insensitive of you not to even call in and check and let us know that you're okay. Jonas was up really late, and this morning you still weren't here, so neither one of us know what to think. Jonas has been trying to call Daniel's cell phone, but the coverage around here is pretty bad. He called Highway Patrol, and Daniel's name didn't come up under any accidents, so Daniel, if you decided to go home, or if you're with some girl, then, you know, whatever, but just call us and let us know that you're okay.
After another day and still no word, Bree and Jonas decide to go out looking. They learn that Daniel had last been seen with one of the local drunks and that the two men had left the bowling alley together. Later, while searching, Bree gets a cryptic text message from Daniel which reads, "No good," but without any context. Bree tries to respond, but no further replies come in. Jonas and Bree then obtain the address of the man Daniel had last been seen with, and they go out to investigate. After spending the night in a motel, Bree and Jonas finally arrive at the address of the local drunk that they had been searching for.
Alright, so we found this guy's place, finally, and we parked on the back highway and we hiked up the hill. So far, no sign of this guy, or Daniel for that matter.
That's his van over there. We followed him to this rest stop. This is so frustrating. I just feel completely helpless.
I know. Pulled into a rest stop. I don't like this guy.
Well, maybe he needs to pee, but...
Yeah. I'm going, because this is ridiculous. I'm just gonna go check out the van.
No! You're not Bruce Wayne, Jonas. What are you doing?
in the van. What? Oh my god. That's the guy. I'm gonna text him. Please pick up your phone. Look at your phone.
Hey, cowboy! Forget this?
Run! Run! Get in the car!
This was a scary day. I saw in the back of the van, but there was nothing there. Anyway, I'm exhausted. We've been driving all night to get back here, and Bree went straight to bed. She's pretty bummed out. And I'm just racking my brain now. This whole way back, I've just been thinking, what can we do about Daniel? I just am frustrated because I don't have any experience in this kind of situation. Does this guy have him locked up somewhere, or who is this guy? I know watchers, right? They don't wear cowboy hats. I think that we should really go to the police about this. We should really do something about this, but Bree just wants nothing to do with that idea.
2 days after Bree and Jonas locate the man with a cowboy hat, Daniel makes contact with a recent upload from his YouTube channel. This is what he posts.
What up, Bree? It's me, Danny B. You know what I'm saying. I heard you looking for me. Check it out. I have new friends. We're having a great time here. I remember I had all these concerns about the religion you're into. They're treating me great. They're good people. We have Daniel. Yo, girl, when we gonna hit up that ceremony? That's all we gotta do. Ain't no big thing. Come on, just do the ceremony. That's all you need to do. Think about the good times last summer. You were gonna do the ceremony back then, it's all good. Now, you're not doing the ceremony yet. Everything's kind of bad. You see the connection? I know I only go to junior college, and the last job I had was at a gas station, but that's math that even I can do. It's amazing. I think you should do the ceremony. Bring the puppets along too, baby. No problem. P-Monkey and Owen, I got mad love for them. I'm gonna try and join the order. I hope they let me in. I really like what they're about. It's cool. Them being evil was wrong. They treat me better than you do. I'm having the best time here. We had pizza, I had ice cream, we even did spin art. How cool is that? That thing with your dad, it's just a big misunderstanding. He actually wanted that to happen. Don't you want all this to be worth something? Come back to us. Yeah, I remember that girl, Cassie. She was in my class. She'd want you to do the ceremony too. Listen to your friend Daniel. Do the ceremony.
My folks are now here. The show's never listen to me. Now
I've been up all night trying to figure a way out of this. I watched the op-aphid video of Daniel being held. I watched all of the videos, actually. I just can't. I can't believe these people. They have cameras everywhere. They're in our cars and they're in our homes. It's just, there was a saying when I was a kid, I think I talked about it once before, op-aphid. It's acknowledge their position and help initiate a dialogue. It's kind of a way for us to communicate with outsiders, although I don't know how this whole kidnapping and spying thing fits in. It's so scary and overwhelming at the same time. I'm just tired of fighting them. All Daniel wanted to do was help me. He's just been so good to me, and he gave up his life for me, and he left home, and now he's missing. After what happened with my father, all I wanted to do was fight them. But now, how do you fight an enemy with these kind of resources? They are everywhere. They can see everything. All of this stuff started happening when I refused to do the ceremony. That's when they started chasing me, and that's when they started putting cameras in Daniel's house. So, I'm gonna end this. I'm gonna do the ceremony. I've gotta get Daniel back. He doesn't deserve to be wrapped up in this. Lucy, if you're watching this, of course you're watching this, email me and tell me when and where. I just want to do this fast. I want to get it over with. Straight up trade me for Daniel.
Jonas makes an upload in which he seems to staunchly disagree with Bree's choice to trade herself for Daniel. He wants to try and get law enforcement involved, but as usual, Bree will have none of it. Next, we see that Bree hasn't totally given up and that her call for surrender might have been a ruse all along. We see that she has contacted Tachyon and that the mysterious agent has backed Bree and Jonas with men, resources, and firepower. And for the first time, it's the Order who have fallen into a trap. As a result, they successfully rescue Daniel. After some time, Bree relates that Daniel is doing much better but doesn't remember much about his abduction or captivity. Bree then tells the viewers about her connection to Tachyon and how the latter came to work in direct opposition to the Order. Tachyon and her cooperative brother spend the weekend with the three teens, making sure the Order hasn't followed them back to Jonas's, from which point they leave, but they do promise to keep a watchful eye on Bree, should she need them again. Tachyon has also left Bree with a strongly encrypted disk, to which Tachyon says she will make contact with Bree in due time in order to open it. Daniel posts on his channel in order to update his viewers. He still hasn't fully recovered his memory of what happened the night he was captured. After that, he reveals more about his past home life and some of the turbulent times he had growing up.
My parents and their whole hands-off thing. Growing up, I think they were actually just a little preoccupied. They never hit me or set the house on fire. It was that they violently ignored me. I guess they were pretty mellow as far as drunks go. The bad times were when one of them would stop. It's like one of them would get better and I'd finally have a parent, you know? But then, you know, that's when all the arguing would start, and that always sucked. It's like they were both self-medicating. Unless they were numb, life was just too much to deal with.
In his next video, Jonas reflects on everything that has happened thus far. It seems that Daniel has been pressing him to leave for a safer location, but Jonas is dead set on staying and even bringing the fight to the Order. He vows that if the cult were to attack them again, he'll be ready for them. After a frightening encounter with a few watchers outside of Jonas's house, the trio make a hasty escape and decide to hide out in one of Jonas's parents' old cabins deep within the mountains. Bree then comments on how the watchers seemingly just let them escape without putting up much of a fight. Almost as if they are hesitant to harm her, she speculates. After arriving at the isolated cabin, Jonas and Bree decide to check out the perimeter on a hiking excursion while Daniel sleeps. The two end up being gone longer than anticipated as they start having fun enjoying the beautiful winter scenery. When they finally do get back to the cabin, they find that Daniel has long been awake and doesn't seem very happy that the pair decided to ditch him in order to spend time with each other. Daniel decides to vent his anger at Jonas for hiding his attraction to Bree and even outright accuses him of trying to lead Op Aphid to them once again with continued use of his cell phone. While looking for CDs in Jonas's car, Daniel discovers a package in the back seat.
I decided to get some alone time, and I went out to the car, just kind of get away from the whole situation. I was looking for some CDs, and I came across a note from Tachyon because she left a card. Where it all started, the answer is before you. A subtle clue I drew. It's a haiku. I haven't told Jonas or Bree I found it yet. I haven't been able to figure out the password to the file that Tachyon gave us, but hopefully this is a clue. I'm gonna open the package. All that was in the package was a bunch of Nancy Drew books. So I'm going back to the haiku. Where it all started. Like as in where our videos all started, or our hometown, Nancy Drew's hometown. Clearly she wants us to have this information. So why is she making me jump through hoops to get it? I think the clue might be in the Nancy Drew books themselves. It's like I'm gonna have to start reading. Tell you what I find. Bye.
In an attempt to get Daniel and Jonas to reconcile, Bree tries to get them to open up about their feelings with a series of invasive interview questions. This method backfires and just drives a further wedge between the two. After informing us that he and Jonas had reconciled, Daniel then announces he's cracked the file codes left by Tachyon. With help from the viewers, this is what he came up with.
Okay, so after reading the books that Tachyon left us, I was still nowhere. I even tried the name of the first town she lived in, River Heights. Tried the first book in the series, Secret of the Old Clock, nothing. I kept thinking it had to do with the books themselves. I knew the password had to be 11 letters and 3 numbers from the X's and Y's on the card, but I couldn't get much more than that. The password was Stratemeyer576. Edward Stratemeyer was the creator of Nancy Drew. That's the reference to where it all started in the note Tachyon left. But apparently it wasn't just a note, it was a haiku. Or sort of. That's where the number 576 came from. Haikus are 3-line poems with a syllable structure of 575. Didn't know that. Guess I should brush up on my poetry. Anyways, there were a few files inside. The first one shows where the watcher or the order symbol comes from. It's a hybrid of the Greek letters theta and mu. There's another file that shows that symbol and a few others, but yeah, I'm not really sure what they mean. And there were also some notes from Tachyon. I don't know, there was a lot of information. I don't really know what it all means, but I'll try and figure it out.
Bree then drops a bombshell on the audience. When Daniel decodes the encryption and leads them to a picture inside Jonas's house, behind the picture is an unmistakable symbol of op-aphid. The reason the Order has been able to keep up with him so readily isn't because of a tracking device or simple dumb luck. It's because Jonas himself is a watcher. Bree informs us that she has Jonas and that she is not letting him go until he tells her everything. The ride has been absolutely wild thus far, and this series has taken us on so many twists and turns already. We as the audience are questioning, what could lonelygirl15 possibly have in store for us next? Is Jonas really a traitor? Did Tachyon know all this from the start, and what will happen with the relationship between Bree, Jonas, and Daniel? Well, for that you'll have to stay tuned for the thrilling conclusion of Season 1 Explained. Until then, my dear viewer, remember one thing: to question everything and to trust no one. We'll see you.